Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to my YouTube channel Diversity of Plants Zone. In this channel you can easily find the videos related to the plants and their diversities throughout the world. My today's topic is about taxonomic systems in plants. So let's start the video. First of all, I am going to discuss about plant systematics. As we know, classification of plants is a very ancient topic. First plant classification system was reported by Vedas around 2000 before Christ. Classification means the divination of something by the basis of some properties. Plant systematics is the branch of the botany that is concerned with the naming, identification, evolution, and classification of plants. So, according to the Stussy, 1990, systematics is a related term, sometimes used synonymously, but involves a broader discipline of discovering phylogenetic relationships through modern experimental methods using comparative anatomy, cytogenetics, ecology, morphology, molecular data, or other data. What are the objectives of the taxonomy? The objectives of the taxonomy are as follows. First is determining what is a species or their subdivision as subspecies. Second, distinguishing these species from others through keys and descriptions and geographical boundaries and mapping their distributions. Third, investigating their interrelationships. Determining proper names of the species and higher order ranks using the international rules of nomenclature. In addition, some taxonomists investigate processes of evolution that lead to the existing pattern of species and their interrelationships. Why classification is necessary? This is the question. So the answer is around 4 lakh plant species are reported in the world now, according to STEAM 1980. The World Conservation Union's IUCN Red List of the plants included some 34,000 threatened species in 1997. 60,000 to 1 lakh plant species are currently threatened. 75% of the world's population relies on traditional medicines. Globally, 80% of our plant based on calorie intake comes from just 12 domesticated plant species, which includes 8 cereals and 4 tuber plants, though 30,000 species of the plants are edible. Need to study about all plants and know about the ecosystem, conserve biodiversity, proper management, scientific study. Taxonomic systems has been divided into the following types. Taxonomic system is divided into artificial classification system. The time period was 300 before Christ to 1735 Anno Domini. Second is natural classification system, and the time period was 1600 to 1883 Anno Domini. Third is phylogenetic classification system, and the time period was 1883 to now Anno Domini. Some literature said about another type which is termed as mechanical classification. First of all, I am going to discuss about the artificial system. Artificial system is the oldest and first approach of classification of plants. Cannot describe all plants. Classification of plants into different taxa based upon one or few characteristics of plants which is selected by the authors, such as reproductive behavior, physical appearance, habitat, phenology, cotyledons, etc. So the classification system based on one or two morphological characteristics for the identification of the plants is called the artificial system. This system groups many unrelated plants. Linnaeus system of the classification is an example of artificial classification system. Some important classification systems are as follow. Number 1, Vedas, around 200 before Christ. Second is Theophrastus. Time period was 370 to 285 before Christ. Secundus, 23 to 79 Anno Domini. Dioscorides, 62 to 128 Anno Domini. Next is Magnus. The time period was 1200 to 1280 Anno Domini. Brentfors, 1464 to 1553 Anno Domini. Bock, 1489 to 1554 Anno Domini. Fuchs, 1501 to 1556 Anno Domini. Tournefort, 1656 to 1708 Anno Domini. Linnaeus, 1707 to 1778 Anno Domini. The most of the famous classification system is of Linnaeus classification system, whose time period was 1707 to 1778 Anno Domini. Some of the bases of the artificial classification system are as follows, which includes Vedas. The time period was around 200 before Christ. His classification parameter has religious importance, use, medicine, flowering and fruiting, etc. Next is Theophrastus. The time period was around 300 before Christ, and his classification parameter was size and lifetime, which includes herbs, shrubs and trees. Next is of herbalists. Herbalists, the time period was 1470 to 1670, and they has the medicinal values. Tournefort, time period was 1700, and classification parameter includes flower and fruit giving rise, innovator of the genus, distinction between the genus and species. Last is Linnaeus. Time period was 1735, and classification parameter includes the sexual behavior of plants, number, length and union of the stamens and carpels. Advantages and disadvantages of the artificial system. Advantages includes it was simple and easy. It needs short time and information. Poorly known plant can be placed easily. Need very few instruments and specifically focus on properties of interest. Disadvantages includes cannot group all the plants perfectly, little predictive value, arbitrarily selected properties do not necessarily correlate well with each other, and cannot describe evolution. Next classification system is natural classification system. This taxonomic system was introduced by the Jean Bohin in 1623. This system was based on natural affinities of the plants, and it is done based on natural characteristics of plants. It places together organisms that have the greatest number of the shared features. No single feature is not important, but the total features are the tools of classification. So, classification of the plants, which is done based on maximum natural characteristics of plants and not a single characteristic, but the total characteristics act as the key to place a plant into a definite taxa, is termed as natural classification system. The classification system, which is based on the set of characteristics of grouping similar plants, is called natural system of classification. Various plants are grouped purely on the basis of the morphological similarities in this system. Evolutionary relations are not developed in this system. The classification system of the Bentham and Hooker is an example of the natural system. Some important natural classification systems are as follows, which includes Gaspar Bohin. Time period was 1550 to 1624. Ray, 1627 to 1705 Anno Domini. Adanson, 1727 to 1806. A. L. D. Jesu, 1748 to 1836. Next is Robert Brown. The time period was 1773 to 1858. A. P. Deacon Dole. Time period was 1778 to 1884. Alphonse. The time period was 1806 to 1893. Last is Bentham, 1800 to 1884, and Hooker, 1817 to 1911. Basis of some natural classification system includes A. L. D. Jesu. Time period was 1748 to 1836, and the classification parameter includes number of cotyledons, presence and absence of petals, position of petals and stamens. Next is Robert Brown. The time period was 1773 to 1858. Classification parameter includes tissue structure. Third is A. P. Deacon Dole. Time period was 1778 to 1884. The classification parameter includes the characteristics of vascular tissue. Last, Bentham. Time period was 1800 to 1884, and Hooker. The time period was 1817 to 1911. Classification parameter includes the seed characteristics of the plants. Advantages and disadvantages of natural classification. Advantages: more satisfactory on placing of species, more predictive value. Arbitrarily selected properties are necessarily correlate well with each other, can be used to predict the properties not related to the classification. And it contains more information about the species. Disadvantages includes complex than artificial, need long time and more information. Poorly known plant cannot be placed easily and cannot focus specifically on properties of interest. Comparison of the natural and artificial system. First of all, natural system. The basis of the natural system was the sum total of all characters of its members. Artificial classification system. The basis of the artificial classification system was one character or a very few characters of its members specially chosen. Advantages of the natural system. Groups together plants most alike in their hereditary constitutions. In general, groups together plants most closely related. Phylogenetically contains a great deal of information about its members, can easily incorporate additional information about its members. Has a high predictive value. On the other hand, artificial classification system. The disadvantages of the artificial classification system is that may not group together plants most alike in their hereditary constitutions, and may not group together plants most closely related. Phylogenetically contains only a very limited amount of information about its members and cannot incorporate more information about its members, has a little or no predictive value. On the other hand, the disadvantages of the natural classification system includes identification may be difficult, the placing of poorly known plants may be uncertain or impossible, is liable to change with increase in our knowledge. On the other hand, artificial classification system has advantages of identification can be made easy, poorly known plants may be definitely placed, is stable and is not changed by increase in our knowledge. Next classification system is phylogenetic classification system. Phylogenetic classification system is the latest system of classification of life, done in very microscale cells. Basic of the system is the Darwin's Origin of Species, 1859, first introduced by the August Wilhelm Eichler in 1883. Goal of the system is to establish a system of classification based on the course of evolutionary descent of its members. system where it is believed that every species is come from the evolutionary change. So it is defined as a classification system based on phylogenetic characteristics of the species. The classification system, which grouped the plants on the basis of the set of morphological characteristics and phylogenetic relations, is called Phylogenetic System of Classification. The classification system of Engler and Prento and the classification system of Bessie are the example of the phylogenetic system. Some important phylogenetic classification systems are as follows. Number 1 is Eichler. The time period is 1839 to 1889. Engler, 1844 to 1930. Prento, 1849 to 1893. Bessie, 1845 to 1915. Wettstein, 1862 to 1931. Sokal and Smith, 1963 to 1973. Henning, 1966. Hellier, 1868 to 1938. Hutchinson, 1884 to 1972. Takhtajan, 1980. Cronquist, 1981. Dahlgren, 1981. Tron, 1981. APG stands for Angiosperm Phylogeny Group System, 1998. Advantages and disadvantages of phylogenetic classification system. Advantages include unique name for each species, eliminates confusion, maximum predictive value, maximum detailed scientific study, contains maximum information about a species. Disadvantages include most complex than others, need long time and research, physical appearances are neglected. Physically same species can be in different groups. Most widely accepted systems. Artificial system. The most widely accepted contributions are made by Theophrastus, 300 before Christ, and Linnaeus. Time period was 1707 to 1778 Anno Domini. Natural classification system. Most widely accepted contributions are by Bentham. Time period was 1800 to 1884 and Hooker, 1817 to 1911. Phylogenetic classification. The most widely accepted systems are introduced by Hutchinson, 1884 to 1972, Takhtajan, 1980, and the APG. APG stands for Angiosperm Phylogeny Group System, 1998. Modern classification system. The classification system in which the plants are grouped on the basis of morphological characters and modern studies like anatomy, palynology, serology, karyology, and embryology, phytogeography, paleontology is modern classification system. The Takhtajan's classification system is the example of modern system of classification. Modern classification system is formed by the combination of two systems. Phylogenetic and natural system are combined with each other to form the modern classification system. Now phylogenetic and natural classification system is combined to classification of plants. Historical development of taxonomic system. This historical development includes three classification systems: artificial, natural, and phylogenetic. Artificial classification system includes the contributions which are made by Theophrastus around 300 before Christ. Next is herbalist. Time period was 1470 to 1670. Next is Tournefort. Time period was 1700. And last is Linnaeus. Time period was 1735. On the other hand, natural classification system includes the contributions of Bohin, 1623, Ray, 1686 to 1704, Jussieu, 1789, and Edinson, 1763. Condols 1824 to 73. Bentham and Hooker 1962. On the other hand, phylogenetic classification system includes the contribution of Eichlau 1883, Engler and Prentl 1887 to 1915, and Bessie 1915. Hanning 1966. Sokal and Smith 1963. And Hutchinson 1926 to 1969. Takhtajan 1969 to 1997. Dahlgren 1975 to 1989. Tron, the time period was about 2000, and last is APG. APG, the time period is about 1998. If you like my video, please subscribe and like to my channel. Thank you so much, and thanks for watching.